Welcome to another live reading of Psycho-Cybernetics. My name is Alyssa Luce. I am your host from Intentions of a Mastermind Book Club. It is really exciting to be here and continue our live reading with you guys. And if you guys are new here, please don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And you can, of course, check out the description to learn how to become Intentions of a Mastermind member. It's absolutely free. Just click on the link in the description or the caption. So we are reading chapter number 12 here. This chapter is Do-It-Yourself Tranquilizers, which bring peace of mind. And we made it all the way up to Build Yourself a Quiet Room. No, actually, before that, Relaxation erects a psychic screen or tranquilizer. Now I can't remember what part we're up to. Wait, let me just see really quick. No. We are up to Build Yourself a Quiet Room in Your Mind. Remember now. Okay. So it reads, men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, seashores, and mountains. And though to art wont to desire such things very much, said Marcus Aurelius. But this is altogether a mark of the most common sort of men. For it is in thy power, whenever thou shalt choose, to retire into thyself. For nowhere, either with more quieter or more freedom from trouble, does a man retire than into his own soul, particularly when he was within him such thoughts. Particularly when he has within him such thoughts, that by looking into them, he is immediately in perfect tranquility. And I affirm that tranquility is nothing else than the good ordering of the mind. Constantly then give to thyself this retreat and renew thyself. During the last days of World War II, someone commented to President Harry Truman that he appeared to bear up under the stress and strain from the presidency better than any previous president, that the job did not appear to have aged him or sapped his vitality, and that his rather remarkable, especially in view of the many problems which confronted him as a wartime president. His answer was, I have a foxhole in my mind. He went on to say that just as a soldier retreated into his foxhole for protection, rest, and recuperation, he periodically retired into his own mental foxhole where he allowed nothing to bother him. Your own decompression chamber. Each of us needs a quiet room inside his own mind, a quiet center within him, like the deep of the ocean that is never disturbed, no matter how rough the waves may become upon the surface. This quiet room within, which is built in imagination, works as a mental and emotional decompression chamber. It depressurizes you from tensions, worry, pressures, stresses, and strains, refreshes you, and enables you to return to your work a day world better prepared to cope with it. It is my belief that each personality does already have a quiet center within, which is never disturbed. It is unmoved, like the mathematical point in the very center of a wheel or axle, which remains stationary. What we need to do is to find this quiet center within us and retreat into it periodically for rest, recuperation, and renewed vigor. One of the most beneficial prescriptions that I have ever given patients is the advice to learn to return into this quiet, tranquil center. And one of the best ways I have found for entering this quiet center is to build for yourself in imagination a little mental room. Furnish this room with whatever is most restful and refreshing to you. Perhaps beautiful landscapes. If you like paintings, a volume of your favorite verse. If you like poetry. The colors of the walls are your own favorite pleasant colors, but should be chosen from the restful hues of blue, light green, yellow, gold. The room is plainly and simply furnished. There are no distracting elements. It is very neat and everything is in order. Simplicity, quietness, beauty are the keynotes. It contains your favorite easy chair. From one small window, you can look out and see a beautiful beach. The waves roll in upon the beach and retreat, but you cannot hear them, for your room is very, very quiet. Take as much care in building this room in your imagination as you would in building an actual room. Be thoroughly familiar with every detail. A little vacation every day. Whenever you have a few spare moments during the day between appointments, riding the bus, retire into your quiet room. Whenever you begin to feel tension mounting or to feel hurried or harried, retire into your quiet room for a few moments. Just a very few minutes taken from a very busy day in this manner will more than pay for themselves. It is not time wasted, but time invested. Say to yourself, I am going to rest a bit in my quiet room. Then in imagination, see yourself climbing the stairs to your room. Say to yourself, I am now climbing the stairs. Now I am opening the door. Now I am inside. In imagination, notice all the quiet, restful details. See yourself sitting down in your favorite chair, utterly relaxed and at peace with the world. Your room is secure. Nothing can touch you here. There is nothing to worry about. You left your worries at the foot of the stairs. There are no decisions to be made here, no hurry, no bother. You need a certain amount of escapism. Yes, this is escapism. So is sleep escapism. Carrying an umbrella in the rain is escapism. Building yourself an actual house where you can retreat from the weather and the elements is escapism. And taking a vacation is escapism. Our nervous system needs a certain amount of escapism. It needs some freedom and protection from the continual bombardment of external stimuli. We need yearly vacations where we physically vacate the old scenes, the old duties, the old responsibilities. Get away from it all. Your soul and your nervous system need a room for rest, recuperation, and protection, every bit as much as your physical body needs a physical house, and for the same reasons. Your mental quiet room gives your nervous system a little vacation every day. From the moment you mentally vacate your workaday world of duties, responsibilities, decisions, pressures, and get away from it all, by mentally retiring into your no pressure chamber. Pictures are more impressive to your automatic mechanism than words. Particularly so if the picture happens to have a strong symbolic meaning. One mental picture that I have found very effective is the following. On a visit to Yellowstone National Park, I was waiting patiently for the geyser Old Faithful, which goes off approximately every hour. Suddenly, the geyser erupted in a great mass of hissing steam, like a gigantic boiler whose safety plug had been blown out. A small boy standing near me asked his father, "What makes it do that?" "Well," said his father, "I guess old Mother Earth is like the rest of us. She builds up a certain amount of pressure, and every once in a while just has to blow off steam to stay healthy." Wouldn't it be wonderful, I thought to myself, if humans could blow off steam harmlessly like that when emotional pressures build up inside us? I didn't have a geyser nor a steam valve on the top of my head, but I did have an imagination. So I began using this mental picture when I would retire into my mental quiet room. I would remember Old Faithful and form a mental picture of emotional steam and pressure coming out of the top of my head and evaporating harmlessly. Try this mental picture on yourself when you're wrought up or tense. The ideas of blowing off steam and blowing your top have powerful associations built into your mental machinery. This is your sign to go on vacation. Clear your mechanism before undertaking a new problem. If you are using an adding machine or an electronic computer, you must clear the machine of previous problems before undertaking a new one. Otherwise, parts of the old problem or these pages are thick. The old situation carry over into the new situation and give you a wrong answer. This exercise of retiring for a few moments into your quiet room in your mind can accomplish the same sort of clearance of your success mechanism. And for that reason, it is very helpful to practice it in between tasks, situations, environments, which require different moods, mental adjustments, or mental sets. Common examples of carryover or failure to clear your mental machinery are the following. A business executive carries his workaday worries and his workaday mood home with him. All day he has been harried, hurried, aggressive, and set to go. Perhaps he has felt a bit of frustration, which tends to make him irritable. He stops working physically when he goes home, but he carries with him a residue of his aggressiveness, frustration, hurry, and worry. He is still set to go and cannot relax. He is irritable with his wife and family. He keeps thinking about problems at the office, although there is nothing he can do about them. Insomnia, rudeness are often emotional carryovers. Many people carry their troubles into bed with them when they should be resting. Mentally and emotionally, they are still trying to do something about a situation at a time when doing is not in order. All during the day, we have need of many different types of emotional and mental organization. You need a different mood and mental organization for talking with your boss and talking with a customer. And if you have just talked with an irate and irritable customer, you need a change in set before talking with a second customer. Otherwise, emotional carryover from one situation will be inappropriate in dealing with others. One large company found that one of their executives unknowingly answered the telephone in a harsh, angry, hostile tone. The phone rings in the midst of a knockdown, drag-out conference, or while the executive is enmeshed in frustration and hostility for one reason or another. And his angry, hostile tone of voice surprises and offends the innocent caller. This company directed all executives to pause 5 seconds and smile before picking up the phone. Emotional carryover causes accidents. Insurance companies and other agencies which do research on the cause of accidents have found that emotional carryover causes many automobile accidents. If the driver just had a spat with his wife or his boss, if he had just experienced frustration, or if he just left a situation which called for aggressive behavior, he is much more likely to have an accident. He carries over into his driving attitudes and emotions which are inappropriate. He is really not angry at the other drivers. He is somewhat like a man who wakes up in the morning from a dream in which he experienced extreme anger. He realizes that the injustice heaped upon him happened only in a dream, but he is still angry, period. Fear can carry over in the same manner. Calmlessness carries over too. But the really helpful thing to know about all this is that friendliness, love, peace, and quiet and calmness also carry over. It is impossible, as we have said, to experience or feel either fear, anger, or anxiety while completely relaxed, quiet, and composed. Retiring into your quiet room thus becomes an ideal clearance mechanism for emotions and moods. Old emotions evaporate and disappear. At the same time, you experience calmness, peacefulness, and a feeling of well-being, which will also carry over into whatever activities immediately follow. Your quiet time wipes the slate clean, so to speak, clears the machine, and gives you a clean new page for the environment which it is to follow. I practice the quiet time both immediately before and after surgery. Surgery requires a high degree of concentration, calmness, and control. It would be disastrous to carry over into the surgical situation feelings of hurry, aggressiveness, or personal worries. Therefore, I clear my mental machinery by spending a few moments completely relaxed in my quiet room. On the other hand, the high degree of concentration, purpose, and obliviousness to surroundings, which are so necessary to the surgical situation, would be most inappropriate to a social situation. Whether the social situation be an interview in my office or a grand ball. Therefore, upon leaving surgery, I also make it a point to spend a couple of minutes in my quiet room to clear the decks, so to speak, for a new type of action. Build your own psychic umbrellas. By practicing the techniques in this chapter, you can build your own psychic umbrellas, which will screen out disturbing stimuli, bring you more peace of mind, and enable you to perform better. Above all, keep in mind and hammer it home to yourself that the key to the matter of whether you are disturbed or tranquil, feel fearful or composed, it is not the external stimulus, whatever it may be, but your own response and reaction. Your own response is what makes you feel fearful, anxious, insecure. If you do not respond at all, but just let the telephone ring, it is impossible for you to feel disturbed, regardless of what is happening around you. Be like the promontory against which is the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it, says Marcus Aurelius. The 91st Psalm is a vivid word picture of a man who experiences feelings of safety and security in the very midst of terrors of the night. Arrows that fly by, plagues, intrigues, snares of enemies, danger, a 10,000-foot fall at his side, because he has found the secret place within his own soul and is unmoved. That is, he does not emotionally react or respond to the scare bells in his environment. Emotionally, he totally ignores them. Much as William James recommended totally ignoring evil and unhappy facts to feel happy. And as James T. Manigan recommends totally ignoring an adverse situation in the environment to feel poise. You are basically an actor, not a reactor. Throughout this book, we have spoken of reacting and responding appropriately to environmental factors. Man, however, is not primarily a reactor, but an actor. We do not merely react and respond willy-nilly to whatever environmental factors may be present, like a ship that goes whichever way the wind happens to blow. As goal-striving beings, we first act. We set our goal, determine our own course. Then, within the context of this goal-striving structure, we respond and react appropriately. That is, in a manner which will further our progress and serve our own ends. If responding and reacting to negative feedback does not take us further down the road to our goal or serve our ends, then there is no need to respond at all. If response of any kind gets us off course or works against us, then no response is the appropriate response. Your emotional stabilizer. In almost any goal-striving situation, our own inner stability is in itself an important goal to maintain. We must be sensitive to negative feedback data, which advises us when we are off course, so that we can change direction and go forward. But at the same time, we must keep our own ship afloat and stable. Our ship must not be tossed and rocked and perhaps sunk by every passing wave or even a serious storm. As Prescott Leakey expressed it, the same attitude must be maintained in spite of environmental changes. Our letting the telephone ring is a mental attitude which keeps our stability. It keeps us from being tossed about, knocked off course, or shaken up by every wave or ripple in the environment. Stop fighting straw men. Still, another type of inappropriate response which causes worry, insecurity, and tension is the bad habit of trying to respond emotionally to something which doesn't exist except in our imaginations. Not satisfied with over-responding to actual minor stimuli in the actual environment, many of us create straw men in our imaginations and emotionally respond to our own mental pictures. In addition to those negatives which actually exist in the environment, we impose our own negatives. This or that may happen. What if such and such happens? When we worry, we form mental pictures, adverse mental pictures of what may exist in the environment and what may happen. When we then respond to these negative pictures as if they were present reality. Remember, your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. Doing nothing is the proper response to an unreal problem. Again, you can tranquilize yourself against this sort of disturbance, not by something you do, but by something you don't do. Your refusal to respond. As far as your emotions are concerned, the proper response to worry pictures is to totally ignore them. Live emotionally in the present moment. Analyze your environment. Become more aware of what actually exists in your environment. And respond and react spontaneously to that. In order to do this, you must give all your attention to what is happening now. You must keep your eye on the ball. Then your response will be appropriate, and you will have no time to notice or respond to a fictitious environment. All right, I'm going to pause here today because there was so many great nuggets in this chapter. Number one, I definitely concur that you should go on vacation sometime soon. And also the importance of escaping your daily routine. You know, as the author said, it is important to have a certain degree of escapism. You know, there's a lot of things that happen in our daily routine that can be very taxing to our emotional and mental state. And when we don't take time to have a reset, to get out of our routine, to take a break, that is when we can experience a lot of mental stress and worry and angst and, fear, because we are so focused on all the things we can't control. But the one thing you can always control is what you do focus on, right? You can change your focus. You can choose to focus on things that are calming and relaxing. And that's exactly the advice the author gives. The author gives this amazing meditative exercise to create a vacation room in your mind, to create a safe space for you to retreat to anytime you feel those negative mental stimuli, those disturbing stimuli, those negative emotions, the negative environmental circumstances really get overwhelming. Have a safe place, a happy place. You've probably heard of this. Go to your happy place that you can just close your eyes and imagine. And as soon as you are seeing in your mind and hearing and smelling and feeling all the environmental stimulus of this happy place, of this safe space in your mind cannot tell the difference between what is really happening and what you're just imagining. So you will get the benefits of actually being there in your mind just by taking time to think about this happy place or safe space, right? And the author recommends to visit this safe space or happy place multiple times a day. If that feels like it's wasting time or that's too much time doing nothing, visit it at least once a day. The best times would be at the end of the day, right? Or before you transition, right? Before you maybe leave somewhere or go somewhere new, or you're about to have a conversation with someone, or you have a meeting scheduled. Always leave what happened in the past, because every moment is a passing moment. And if there's something that happens in the moment that makes you feel uncomfortable, angry, frustrated, stressed, fearful, leave it there. Leave it in that moment. Don't carry it over with you, because this is how you turn a bad 5 minutes into a bad day, into a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, a bad life, etc., right? And a lot of us are doing this. As soon as I said that, you've probably thought of at least one or two people you can immediately think of that they just have the worst possible life experiences, because they're always carrying over past frustrations, and they're always focusing on all the things that went wrong for themselves. So when you take this time to create these mental images of peace and serenity, and you spend a few minutes in that feeling, you will carry over that same experience into whatever you're going into next. So take this with a grain of salt. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But at least have a happy place you can visit, right? Have somewhere you can go in your mind, or go on real vacations as often as you can. That's what I do. I personally make time and make the decision and make it a priority for myself to get out of my routine, get out of my hometown, and just experiencing something new and relaxing. And it really does transform your overall experience, your overall day, and mental attitude towards life. And some of the other things I really wanted to talk about in this chapter was the importance of understanding that you have all the control and authority on how you feel and how your experiences go, right? If you do nothing in response to, a negative situation, you maintain all your power. But the moment a negative situation, circumstance, or experience happens, and you respond in an irrational way, right? In an angry outburst or an emotional reaction where you're crying excessively or stressed out, you've immediately given all your power away to that experience, situation, or event. But when you just take a moment to pause, think about how you want to respond. Think about what do I want my life to look like in the future? How do I want my life to look on a consistent basis? What kind of person do I want to be? Is this how I would respond if my life were like this right now? How would I respond if my life were perfect and how I absolutely wanted it right now? Would this event or experience even affect me? Would I get upset? And even if I do feel some kind of negative, disturbing stimuli, would I bring it to a level 10 or just a level 2, right? Would I get pissed off, angry, upset, or would I just be a little irritated? You choose your response. And to not react in the moment or respond immediately is the real power, because you stop and take a moment to decide what kind of life and experience you want to have for yourself. So that's all I have for you guys today. I look forward to finishing out chapter 12 with you. And I think we only have 3 more chapters or something like this. Let me just see. We have 3 more chapters left. Chapter 15 is the final chapter. Definitely check out the past readings if you are just joining us now. But I love you guys, and I'll see you all very soon.